It is now my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, who will be sharing a public sector perspective. He serves as Deputy Assistant Secretary for Regional Affairs, overseeing the activities of the Economic Development Administration's Office of Regional Affairs. He is the recipient of numerous awards, including the 2015 President's Award for Customer Service. He is passionate about helping communities, businesses, and entrepreneurs innovate and succeed in a global economy. His full bio can be found on our website. Please help me welcome Dennis Alvord to the stage.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate the kind introduction, and it's great to be here with you all today. I share my old friend Brian Dobson's enthusiasm to be in a room full of practitioners. It's not that often that we come together with so many people that we have so much in common with. Brian and I go back actually quite some time. I first met Brian when he was president of the Corporation for Enterprise Development in Washington. I won't say exactly how long ago that was, but it's fair to say we could measure it in decades. It's really a pleasure to be here today. I'd like to thank North Carolina State University and the Institute for Emerging Issues for hosting us today and really raising the issue of urban-rural connection, a matter that deserves our attention. I'd like to especially thank IEI Director Leslie Boney and Senior Policy and Program Manager Sarah Langer-Hall, who just kindly introduced me, for their leadership and their efforts to pull this together. It's great to see so many leaders from across the state of North Carolina who are dedicated to finding ways to connect rural and urban communities to advance our collective prosperity. As Henry Ford said, coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. By working together to explore new ways to define, celebrate, and leverage rural and urban interconnections, we help to improve conditions for communities, regions, and citizens, and in turn, boost our collective national competitiveness. I thank you all for your work and your engagement on this issue. In considering the issue of connection, I'd be remiss if I didn't also take time to recognize the Economic Development Districts, or EDDs, who work with a range of partners here to develop and implement critical, comprehensive economic development strategies. You saw a map earlier today of the EDA-supported economic development districts. So I'll be talking more about the work of our economic development districts and the importance of coordinated, comprehensive planning later in my remarks. But I want to thank those here today representing EDDs for their pivotal service to you in helping to support urban-rural communities as they connect and pursue a shared common vision. Before I go further, I'd like to recognize a very important member of the Economic Development Administration, or EDA, who's here with us today, Hilary Sherman. Hilary, raise your hand. I know Hilary has a lot of fans here today. Hilary serves as our economic development representative for the state of North Carolina. She's our person here on the ground working hand in hand with you to get things done, working to implement and help support your local economic development and community vision. As always, Hilary's available to assist you and answer any questions that you have about how EDA may be able to help you in your efforts. Thank you, Hilary, for your service and for your efforts to advance economic opportunity here in North Carolina and across the country. So today I'm pleased to share with you a view from the public sector. I'm sure we can all agree that connectivity between rural and urban communities is critical to sustained regional economic success. In the field of economic development and in the public sector, boundaries, be they town, zip code, state, have increasingly blurred. The rapid mobility of goods, products, services, and ideas on a daily basis really demonstrates this. I think we had a compelling example of that just a moment ago with our speaker from UPS. Across the nation, and indeed across the great state of North Carolina, there are urban and rural areas that are doing well and those that are facing significant challenges. However, through leadership and strong commitment of organizations and residents, and through a willingness to think big and put hard work, communities are achieving amazing things for their citizens and increasing opportunity and prosperity in meaningful ways. These efforts must be maintained and continued. By doing so, urban and rural communities can position themselves to compete more effectively in an increasingly globalized and competitive world. It's important for the public sector because we have to support these efforts in any way we can. We try to be more innovative in our approaches, and we try to be more committed in expanding and supporting solutions that meet your local needs. At EDA, this is central to how we work. EDA is guided by the basic principle that sustainable economic development should be locally and regionally focused. We work directly with communities and regions to help them build the capacity for economic development based on local business connections and local needs. We also work collectively with other federal, state, regional, local, and foundation partners to ensure that these efforts are connected, sustainable, and as strategic as possible. At EDA, we understand that some communities need help developing a plan and figuring out where to start their economic development efforts. Others need critical infrastructure in supporting business development and expansion. Still others need help building ecosystems and the interconnection of systemic actors within those ecosystems to translate innovation into jobs. It's a continuum, and EDA can help anywhere along the way, whether a rural area or an urban area. The economic development planning process, which can facilitate the connection between urban and rural communities, is the cornerstone of everything we do. Locally owned strategic planning is critical to facilitating regional economic development efforts, and including the perspective of urban and rural connection through the planning process helps ensure that success. Effective planning creates a roadmap that helps practitioners and policymakers to identify the steps necessary to revitalize their communities and obtain their desired economic vision. Through our partnership planning program, EDA is here to help regional planning organizations, including economic development districts, Indian tribes, and other eligible areas, with their long-term planning efforts, outreach to communities, and the development of comprehensive economic development strategies, or what we call CEDS. We support a national network of approximately 380 economic development districts. These are multi-jurisdictional entities, commonly comprised of multiple counties, and in some cases, even cross state borders. North Carolina is blanketed by 12 EDDs that engage the public, private, and nonprofit sectors to guide strategic direction, resource allocation, and project development and implementation across the state. Urban-rural connectiveness is a major focus of these organizations as they work to develop their CEDS strategies. Once a CEDS is in place, EDA Public Works and Economic Development Assistance Program investments can be triggered to further catalyze these regional plans. For example, EDA invested in the creation of the Carolina Textile Network to advance entrepreneurship in textiles as articulated in the Western Piedmont Council of Government Plan. Through the network logistics analysis being undertaken in partnership with the Centralina Council of Governments, we help to build needs highlighted by that regional plan. And disaster recovery coordinators are helping to promote recovery and resiliency in eastern North Carolina communities impacted by Hurricanes Matthew and Florence. If you haven't been engaged in the CEDS process, I'd encourage you to please be in touch with Hilary Sherman or your local economic development districts to learn how you can become more involved in helping to make these connections and supporting the objectives across your communities and regions. At EDA, we also recognize the important role that colleges and universities play in supporting regional economic development strategies that facilitate urban and rural connection. EDA University Center program is specifically designed to marshal the resources of institutions of higher learning to support regional economic development strategies. Most UCs focus their efforts on assisting units of local government and nonprofit organizations in planning and have been among the first to recognize emerging technical assistance needs, including those associated with the rural-urban divide. Typical actions provided by our university centers include targeted commercialization of research, workforce development, and business counseling services. Other UCs may focus their efforts on helping local organizations with conducting preliminary feasibility studies, analyzing data, and convening customized seminars and workshops on topics such as regional strategic planning and capital budgeting. Here in North Carolina, Fayetteville State University is supporting economic development opportunities by providing training for entrepreneurs and expanding resources for funding new ventures in both rural and urban communities. Western Carolina University has a close relationship with the local Small Business Administration and Small Business Technology Development Center. Working together, we are working in urban and rural areas to facilitate the commercialization of new products and services that retain current jobs and/or create new business opportunities, as well as create jobs in emerging industries. EDA continues to build regional capacity to translate innovations into jobs in and across rural and urban areas through our Regional Innovation Strategies, or RIS program. Under RIS, EDA funds the I-6 Challenge to accelerate commercialization of job-creating research and inventions, and through our seed fund support grants, we're addressing the other critical need of growth-oriented entrepreneurs, access to capital. Here in the Raleigh-Durham region, the First Flight Venture Center, an incubator of innovative, high-impact startups located in Research Triangle Park, was awarded a $441,000 RIS I-6 Challenge grant in 2006 to establish a shared rapid prototyping facility called Hangar 6. Open to all North Carolina science-based businesses, Hangar 6 offers participating companies access to a range of advanced equipment as well as expert services, and is supported by subscription fees to ensure that it has sustainability and longevity. At Duke University, the Triangle Venture Alliance was awarded a $250,000 seed fund support grant in 2015 that taps the alumni base of the region's universities to invest in new ventures of the larger university community. On February 1, I announced the opening of the 2019 RIS competition. Applications are now being accepted, and I encourage you to visit EDA's website at eda.gov for more information. Before I move on from how we build innovation capacity in rural and urban communities, I'd like to mention to our friends from rural areas that EDA is supporting your efforts to compete through our new Rural Innovation Initiative. The project, which is being led by the Center on Rural Innovation and its sister organization, Rural Innovation Strategies, Inc., is designed to bridge the opportunity gap in rural America by helping these communities build the capacity to create resilient, innovation-based jobs. Participating organizations will be provided with access to significant technical assistance to refine their economic development strategies, identify partnerships, and leverage existing resources. A virtual network to support capacity building, link innovation hubs, enable communities to make connections to new sources of capital, expand their networks with national technology leaders, and secure digital economy jobs for remote workers in their communities is also being developed under this new program. Last week, it was announced that 9 communities have been selected through a highly competitive selection process to participate in the program in 2019. One of the selected communities is Wilson, North Carolina, which is located just about an hour east of here. I look forward to hearing from them about their experience with the program. And I think it's important to point out that this won't be the only opportunity. We expect to have another competition in 2020 as well. So please keep your eye on the Center for Rural Innovation as well as the EDA website for updates on this program and how you might also be able to participate. Another emerging areas for EDA's involvement is through promoting the strength and growth of small-scale manufacturing as an economic engine. Small-scale manufacturing offers the co-benefits of strengthening economic regions and supporting the strengths of downtown corridors, which serve as community hubs and tend to be located near complementary public infrastructure and labor forces. Here in North Carolina, manufacturing is a key connector between rural and urban locations. EDA is working with Smart Growth America under a cooperative agreement to create and undertake an in-depth engagement in High Point, North Carolina from February 4th to 7th. Actually, that just transpired. This National Technical Assistance Award will help High Point better understand its small-scale manufacturing or maker ecosystem and help it determine what policies it needs to adopt and strategic investments it needs to make in order to support these industries and small business clusters. From a national perspective, there's a few other things going on with respect to national economic development that I'd like to mention. I think one of largest and most significant is the new Opportunity Zone initiative. Opportunity zones were created as part of President Trump's Tax Cuts and Job Act, and they continue to be a very robust and emerging conversation. The Opportunity Zone program is designed to support new and small businesses, the development of blighted properties, investment in key local infrastructure projects, finance for facility construction or refurbishment, and a number of other activities intended to revitalize or enhance local economic ecosystems. While the Treasury Department is the federal lead agency on this work, EDA has taken the step as part of our 2018 Notice of Funding Availability for our core infrastructure and other economic development assistance programs to make entities eligible when they're located within qualified opportunity zones. And we expect this requirement will carry forward into future notices of funding opportunity at EDA as well. So I certainly encourage you to learn more about this program. Visit the Treasury Department's website on how you may be able to tie your efforts to the President's Opportunity Zone program and create incentives to bring capital into your regions, be they urban or rural. Before I close, I'd like to highlight EDA's action as the integrator of economic development resources for communities. We've been talking a lot about rural-urban connections and connections about different levels of government today. EDA plays, I think, a critically important role in integrating resources across the federal government or across the entire federal government economic and community development enterprise. As the lead integrator for federal economic development investments, EDA's role is to help facilitate planning, collaboration, and coordination among a range of federal agencies to ensure that these federal resources are invested in support of locally identified strategies and projects designed to produce transformational economic diversification and workforce development outcomes, and that multiple federal economic development resources are successfully aligned and invested to support various projects in discrete and non-duplicative ways. This role as an integrator of federal economic development resources allows us to help customers, whether EDA grantees or not, to leverage the federal assets that our communities and regions need to produce impactful economic development projects and outcomes. In the wake of the 2017 hurricanes, for example, we sent staff to Florida, Texas, and the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico to work hand in hand with other federal agencies and state and territory governments to help local communities stabilize their economies, create new economic opportunities, and increase their resilience to future disasters. Through this engagement, we were able to broadly inform our stakeholders of the $587 million we currently have available to help communities affect the challenges that resulted from the disastrous natural events in 2017. The first series of guidance documents on our integrated federal planning programs and more information on EDA's Federal Economic Development Integrator role can be found on EDA's website. So to conclude, I'd like to again thank each of you for your time and for your leadership in creating economic opportunities in your regions and beyond. It is through the important work that organizations like IEI have in raising the issue of interconnectedness and the hard work that we are helping to ensure the bright future of both rural and urban communities. As you listen to the rest of the presentations and think about what this means for you, I hope you will resolve to consider ways your work can help facilitate connection between urban and rural areas. Leadership and capacity frequently start with a small group of committed individuals and a vision for how something can be better. If there are ways that EDA can support your community, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you for the work that you do every day and for the opportunity to be with you here today. Thank you.